Hey, this is Dr. Drew Jamieson. And if you're one of those people that tosses and turns at night, can't get comfortable, no matter what you do, you're not getting deep, restful sleep, then this is for you. So you don't probably need me to tell you just how critical it is that we get at least 7 or more hours of sleep every single night. It's one of the most common complaints I hear because I ask every patient about it. How's your sleep? Without sleep, you're not repairing your body, you're not consolidating memories, you're not restoring injured tissues, you're not laying down new cells, you are just shooting yourself in the foot in so many ways. So let's go through clinically the things I have and go through with patients as far as like a checklist goes to really kind of figure out where the problem might be coming from and how we can fix it. One of the biggest things you need to do in order to have a good, restful night of sleep is exercise, and specifically earlier in the day. There are a lot of people that will exercise later in the day, and this is not an ideal time to do it because when you go and have a workout late at night, it actually causes a huge release of your stress hormones, particularly cortisol, adrenaline, norepinephrine, and now you get home and you're wired. Even if you feel in your body that you're tired, your mind is wired because you worked out too late in the day. And since this is about 3-4 years ago now that I switched, since switching to workouts first thing in the morning, one, that natural high of cortisol, that natural high amount of cortisol that you have first thing in the morning, you actually ride it right into the gym. So now you're spiking cortisol all the time when it should be high anyway, because the thing with cortisol is it needs to be high in the morning and then low in the evening. But if you work out late in the day and spike your cortisol at night, now you have high cortisol at night, which suppresses melatonin, and falling asleep is going to be very difficult. Obviously, when it comes to exercise, just doing it or not doing it, I'd rather you do it, but trying to arrange it so it's in the front half of the day, extremely important. Now let's talk about caffeine and alcohol and their impacts on the ability for us to fall asleep. Eliminating caffeine and alcohol can sometimes be the one thing that people need to get their sleep back. I know it almost sounds too simple, but I have had many patients where I just get them to eliminate coffee and alcohol for 30 days, and they have had and reported some of their best sleeps ever. So caffeine, we know, is a stimulant. It wakes you up, it makes you more alert. It's great for memory and learning, improves reaction time. There's actually a lot of benefits to coffee and caffeine. But in someone with really, really bad sleeping issues, that might be the one thing they need to just get rid of for a bit, which I know is hard because when I take people's coffee away, they don't like me. The caffeine half-life is about 5 or 6 hours. So if you have 200 or 300 milligrams first thing in the morning, you have a much better chance of eliminating it by bedtime. But what I'm finding is people will have a cup in the morning, maybe a cup at lunch, and then there's a cup around 2, 3, or 4 p.m., which is just way too late. Alcohol's another one. We all know when you drink or have a few drinks, you fall asleep, no problem. You drift off, you're gone. The problem is you fall asleep, but you don't go into deep, restful, restorative sleep. And if you know anything about sleep, there's several waves involved, there's several depths, there's REM, there's deep sleep, and everything in between. And you want to make sure you're getting a certain amount of deep sleep. We've all had that night where we have a couple drinks, go to bed, you sleep 8 hours, and you wonder, geez, why am I so tired and groggy the next day? That's because your body's, one, still dealing with toxic removal of alcohol and getting the toxins out of your system, but also you just didn't get enough deep, restful sleep, and you're feeling it. Another big one with sleep is you don't want to eat within 3 hours of bedtime. You want to allow gravity and your digestive system to move the food through you, absorb the nutrients, because if you eat too much and too close to bed and then go lie down, that food is going to become irritating. It can lead to heartburn and indigestion, and that will be very disruptive to your sleep. And we all have had that feeling going to bed with just a full, bloated, uncomfortable stomach after like a turkey dinner. And if you do want, some sleepy time teas, there are a few cool things that I found that have been helpful over the years. Chamomile tea, passion flower tea. You can make a homemade apple cider beverage with maybe a tablespoon of honey, which is a wonderful sleep tonic. So you take hot water, you add a little bit of apple cider vinegar, a tablespoon of honey, and honey is a slow release sugar, so it keeps your blood sugar nice and stable throughout the night. And it is a wonderful sleep remedy because I have a lot of patients that have night waking syndrome where they wake up and it's a drop in blood sugar, or maybe it's been too long since they had dinner and now their body's like wanting more calories. So a little bit of honey right before bed or a couple handfuls of pumpkin seeds might be the fix you're looking for. The thing with electronics and light, I mean, we could do a full video on this, but I'm going to give you the Coles Notes right now, is every time blue light hits your eyes, whether it's light outside or from a screen or electronic device, it's telling your brain that it's daytime. And so your brain thinks, okay, it's light out, there's light hitting my eyes, it's daytime, I will stay awake. This also blunts the production of melatonin. So if it's like 9 or 10 p.m. and you're staring at a screen and that light's hitting your eye, your brain thinks, okay, it's daytime. I'm not going to get drowsy. I'm going to down-regulate my output of melatonin. And it's going to be very hard for you to just turn that screen off and then roll over and go to bed. The keynote is people will say they're wired but tired. And that's because you've been sending it the wrong signal. The electronics at night have to go. And if you're going to use them, or you must, you have to put filters on them, whether it's Flux is a good app you can install on your desktop, which basically dims the color on the screen so that not blue light coming off anymore, but it has more of like an orange or an amber color similar to a candle. But what I recommend is that people do not use electronic devices 90 minutes before bed. That gives the body a natural transition to actually gear down and power down so that you can have a relaxing start to your night. And since we're talking about light, that is the single most thing that regulates what's known as your circadian rhythms, your sleep and wake cycles. So at nighttime, it needs to be dark. And then in the morning, as soon as you wake up, you want to get natural light on your eyes as soon as possible. So go to the window, look outside, go out on the balcony, let natural light hit your eyes first thing in the morning. This triggers a melatonin release around 12 to 14 hours later. So this is so crucial. If you just get your light sorted out, your circadian rhythms and your sleep will improve immensely. And then you can talk about some of the nutrients that I'm going to go through in a second here. And there are some good ones, don't get me wrong. I already mentioned passion flower as a tea. There's a Pasco Flare, which is a passion flower extract we use. People swear by it. I like GABA, a couple 100 milligrams at bedtime. It's a central nervous system relaxer. It's actually inhibitory neurotransmitter, so it calms the body, mind, and nervous system. Wonderful option. Melatonin. Now, this isn't one I usually reach for when people are having chronic, all the time sleep issues. If you're changing time zones, melatonin can be useful because you can take it at the new bedtime of the new location you get to kind of kickstart your system for a few nights. So when I travel and go to Europe and we're all of a sudden 8 or 9 or 10 hours ahead, you can then start using melatonin at the new bedtime for the first few nights to jog your system. But I wouldn't recommend it all the time as like your go-to sleep aid because people get a lot of resistance to it and it just kind of doesn't work as well. They just become kind of numb to it after a while, or worse, it just makes them groggy in the morning. So not my consistent go-to, but figured I'd mention it because most people have heard of it. Acupuncture can be wonderful for sleep and just regulating stress and calming the body and mind. So always a good idea to look into that. Magnesium, whether it's in the dose orally of 400 to 600 at bedtime. Bisglycinate is a wonderful form to relax the central nervous system. And then also Epsom salt baths if you like to relax and just sort of power down and have that transition from whatever you're doing prior to bedtime. A magnesium salt soak can be wonderful. Make sure to put 2 to 3 cups, measure it out, 2 to 3 cups of magnesium sulfate per tub. So it's not just sprinkle a little bit in there, you need a good amount, 2 to 3 cups, and then soak in it for about as hot as you can handle for around 20 minutes. That's a very good option. So there you have it. If you are having sleep issues, I hope you found that helpful. If you have questions, comments, or you want to reach out because you need help with your sleep, just drop a comment below and I would be happy to connect and figure out what we can do to get you sleeping sound so that you are waking up full of energy and nice and recovered, okay? So any questions at all, let me know below, and thank you for watching.